My first go-kart was a fifth-hand go-kart from the Loot newspaper. And it was bent and rusty and...
Lewis Hamilton is a British racing driver, 7-time Formula One world champion, and the first black driver in royal racing. The statistics of his performances have already elevated Lewis to the rank of great drivers, but this is not enough for him. He has a lot of hobbies outside the racetrack. Lewis Hamilton, how the legendary race car driver lives and how much he earns. Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton was born on January 7, 1985, in the English town of Stevenage, Hertfordshire. His parents are Carmen, an Englishwoman by nationality, and Anthony, a native of Grenada. They named their son after the American runner, Olympic champion, and world champion Carl Lewis. Hamilton's mother and father separated when he was only 2 years old, and he initially stayed to live with Carmen and half-sisters Samantha and Nicola. He spent weekends with his father, and together they started racing radio-controlled cars. This joint leisure resulted in participation in competitions, and the boys' rivals were then 10 to 15 years older. Seeing his son's interest in racing, Anthony had the idea to try Lewis's hand at go-kart racing. So at the age of 7, the future world champion received as a Christmas gift his first go-kart, which he bought used through an ad in a newspaper. He and his father started racing in the backyard of a construction store. Then they found a small track nearby and decided to go there to practice. Lewis won his first race at the age of 8, which Hamilton Sr. was very proud of. In general, it was racing that brought father and son closer together and helped them stay a family even after the divorce. And the boy suddenly realized that he was very good at something. The fact is that it was very difficult for him to study at school. Although his teachers thought he was nice, even if a little chatty at times, he was smaller than his peers and he was often bullied. However, he could stand up for himself on the track. Before that, after 5-year-old Lewis once again came home from school with a black eye, his father sent his son to karate class. According to the athlete, it was karate that made him disciplined and formed his character. As a result, he received a black belt, and now he continues to study various martial arts techniques, such as Thai boxing, but as additional training and not as a means of self-defense. In go-karting, Hamilton quickly became the best and started to win races. But the fact that the profession of a race car driver is literally deadly, he realized right away, even in the first year of his career at the age of 8. He admitted that he still clearly remembers the day when one of his friends died in a race. Also, the Hamiltons quickly realized how expensive the sport is. For the boy to have the opportunity to perform, Anthony and his new wife Linda gave all their savings and remortgaged their house several times. Hamilton Sr. also resigned from his previous position, got a job as a contractor in a construction company, and worked at several jobs at once. Sponsors also helped. The founder and owner of the Zipcart manufacturer was so impressed with the novice racer that he offered to provide him with a go-kart chassis. A simple family entertainment quickly became the beginning of a professional career. But since not only Lewis but also Anthony were new to this business, they had to learn everything together along the way. They experimented with the choice of braking points before turns to pass them faster. That's why, by the way, at first the young rider often crashed into rivals or flew off the track. They learned to set tire pressure, adjust gears in the gearbox, and do other technical tricks. All these efforts paid off because at the age of 9, Lewis Hamilton became the youngest driver to win the British Karting Championship among cadets. At the age of 10, after another victory, the boy decided to ask for an autograph from Ron Dennis, the boss of the McLaren team in Formula One racing, and said that he wanted to get behind the wheel of his car one day. Dennis wrote back, "Call me back in 9 years, then we'll figure something out." A few years later, in 1998, Ron decided to call and offered Hamilton a place in the McLaren Young Driver Support Program with the opportunity to drive for the team in Formula One. During this time, young Lewis managed to win twice in the Super One Series in the British Championship. It was at this time, by the way, he chose the color of his helmet, yellow. His father asked him to do this so that his son could be easily distinguished on the track. Also, the boy finally moved in with his father and stepmother, who by that time had another son, Nicholas. Even though Lewis's half-brother suffers from cerebral palsy, he also became a professional racer and competes in the British Championship in body racing. After signing a contract with McLaren, Lewis continued to progress, and won the Intercontinental A Series in 1999, Formula A in 2000, Formula Super A in 2001. It was also the start of his rivalry with a future Formula One driver, Nico Rosberg. But young Hamilton did not solely live to race. He played on the school soccer team and was passionate about music. At the age of 13, Lewis began playing guitar, composing songs, and writing poetry. At 16, he studied at the Cambridge College of Arts and Sciences, and as an adult, he did not give up music, learning to play the piano and practicing vocals with a teacher. In 2001, Hamilton began his career in open wheels with the British Formula Renault Winter Series. In 2003, he won the title in British Formula Renault 2000, but in early 2004, he was temporarily excluded from the McLaren support program. Then there were disagreements about Anthony Hamilton and the team management about the development of Lewis's career. But soon the contract was renewed and the race car driver made his debut in the European Formula 3 Series as part of the Manor team. He eventually finished the season in 5th place in the championship, and at the end of the year he got behind the wheel of a Formula 1 car for the first time at the Silverstone test races. In 2005, the British magazine Autosport included Hamilton among the top 50 drivers of 2005. And in 2006, the Briton made his debut in the GP2 Series, which for many drivers was the last step before Formula 1. As part of the ART Grand Prix team, he immediately won the title of champion, beating the nearest pursuer in the individual standings by 12 points. Even then, Lewis had earned himself a reputation as a ladies' man. He had fleeting relationships with models of various nationalities, but had a long-term relationship with a college friend, Jodia Ma. They dated from 2003 to 2007. After a successful performance in the GP2 Championship, Hamilton was given the place of the main driver of the British McLaren team and became a partner of two-time champion Fernando Alonso. According to the plan, Fernando was to become the first driver of the team, and Lewis was assigned a supporting role. In the very first race, the Briton climbed to the podium, and at the Spanish Grand Prix, which is located in his partner's native country, Spain, he became the leader of the championship in points. Such an enchanting beginning destroyed all the preseason predictions, and the tension within the team grew to open conflicts. The disagreement also led to numerous attacks on Hamilton by Alonso's fans, which had an openly racist connotation. To Fernando's credit, he openly condemned his fans for this type of behavior. According to the results of the season in the individual standings, Lewis and Fernando earned the same number of points, taking 2nd and 3rd place respectively. Thus, internal strife cost the team the championship title, and the Alonso-Hamilton team once again proved that the two strong drivers in one team are not always the key to success. At the end of the year, according to results of surveys conducted by F1 Racing Magazine, Lewis Hamilton won the nominations Rookie of the Year, Personality of the Year, Master of Qualification, Racer of the Year, and Person of the Year. In the same year, 5 books were published about the young racer at once, including his autobiography, Lewis Hamilton, My Story. Driving fast is in the race car driver's blood, which is not always safe. On December 18, 2007, Hamilton was deprived of his license in France for a month for dangerous driving at a speed of 122 miles an hour on a French highway. His Mercedes-Benz was also confiscated. Similar incidents happened to Lewis later. Once in Australia, he was fined for intentionally losing control of the car, and his car was seized for 48 hours. He had an accident in Monaco, and in New Zealand an investigation was launched against him for taking selfies while riding a motorcycle. It was after these episodes that conversations began about the need to monitor the behavior of racers on ordinary roads, and in recent years Lewis has had to restrain himself because for the loss of his usual license he may be deprived of the right to compete in Formula 1. At the same time, Lewis's romance with Nicole Scherzinger, an American singer best known as the vocalist of the Pussycat Dolls, was rapidly developing. They met at the MTV Europe Music Awards ceremony in November 2007. Scherzinger was among the speakers there, and Hamilton announced the winner in one of the nominations. Nicole quickly found a common ground with Lewis's father and his brother, and the following season, at every opportunity, she supported her beloved at the races. After changing his teammate, Hamilton began the 2008 season as the undisputed number 1 in the McLaren team, and in a hard fight with Brazilian Felipe Massa on Ferrari, took the championship title, becoming the first black champion of Formula 1. He overtook his competitor by only 1 point in the individual standings. In 2009, Hamilton intended to defend the title, And apparently this desire was so great that already in the first race, by order of the team, he let the one riding behind him, Jarno Trulli, overtake him when overtaking on the track was prohibited. Naturally, Trulli was fined, and Lewis rose to the podium due to this. But this clever maneuver came to light when the Briton was caught lying. He denied that he had received such an order, and he was disqualified. Hamilton later personally apologized to FIA racing director Charlie Whiting for lying to the stewards. Anyway, McLaren's car let him down, and Lewis was not able to fight for the championship, finishing the season in 5th place. In January 2010, Lewis and Nicole broke up for the first time, but the breakup did not last long, and soon the girl began to be seen again in the Formula One boxes. In 2010, Hamilton's teammate was the previous year's champion, Jenson Button. No other race car driver has been able to do what Jenson was able to do while on the same team with Lewis, to fight with him on equal footing while avoiding major conflicts. The whole fight remained on the track, and according to the results of the championship, Hamilton won it. He took 4th place and Button 5th. In the same year, the race car driver had a big quarrel with his father and fired him from his position as a personal manager. They didn't talk for 2 years, and as they later explained, it was a common conflict between fathers and sons. Lewis wanted more independence, and Anthony found it difficult to accept that his son had already grown up. Then they established relations for several more years, but the final reconciliation happened only in the winter of 2020. In 2011, Hamilton voiced the cartoon character Cars 2, a British racing car, which is one of the participants of the World Grand Prix. At the end of the 2011 season, Lewis Hamilton took 5th place, quite far behind his teammate, and in 2012 he was only 2 points ahead of him, but it was still far from the championship. At the end of the year, Hamilton announced that in the 2013 season, he would join the Mercedes team. Then, performing without much success, he replaced the retiring Michael Schumacher. At the same time, the Hamilton-Scherzinger star couple broke up again. Due to the busy schedules, they rarely saw each other, but still, a few months later, they gave their relationship another chance. The third quarrel happened in the summer of 2013, and again for a short time. The press and numerous fans enthusiastically followed this musical racing soap opera, which added to the popularity of both. And Formula One also benefited from this, making sure to show in broadcasts the sight of Nicole rooting for Lewis. In the 2013 season, Hamilton's partner was his old go-karting acquaintance Nico Rosberg. Their first season together was quite calm, largely because Mercedes was unable to fight for the championship. But in 2014, with the beginning of the dominance of the Silver Arrows over other teams, a fierce battle between the two strong drivers began. By the second half of the season, the situation was heating up. They refused to help each other and fought a contact fight on the track. But it didn't come to an intra-team explosion then, and Lewis got the title. By the way, it was in 2014 when the new rules allowed drivers to choose their permanent number. Hamilton took number 44, the same one he used during go-karting races. That year, the racer took first place in the list of the richest athletes in Great Britain. He had $114 million on his account at that time, and the average earnings per year were estimated at more than $20 million, plus advertising contracts. Before the start of the next season in February 2015, Hamilton and Scherzinger parted completely and irrevocably. Nicole explained the reason by the fact that after 8 years of a relationship, she was tired of waiting for a marriage proposal. Since then, Lewis has not talked about his personal life, but they still talk about his numerous affairs in the press. He was seen with Rihanna, Gigi Hadid, Kendall Jenner, Rita Ora, models Winnie Harlow and Barbara Palvin, singer Justine Skye, rapper Nicki Minaj, and Sofia Richie, daughter of Lionel Richie. Russian model Victoria Odintsova also talked about a romantic relationship she had with the race car driver. According to her, they dated for a while, but then parted as friends. In 2015, the Briton became the champion, and he became even more confident, and it would seem the balance of power in the team became clear. But Rosberg was not satisfied with this. Having started the 2016 season with 4 consecutive wins, he made it clear to the team management and Hamilton that he would fight to the end. The boiling point was the race in Spain when 2 Mercedeses collided on the first lap. Then they had an explanatory conversation with them, but they needed to work for the team. But this only made the degree of struggle higher. Lewis even wanted to leave Mercedes. In the end, Rosberg emerged victorious from this confrontation. Hamilton also became the second in the championship with a gap of only 5 points, while it is he who has more victories in the season, 10 against 9. None of the Britain's teammates inflicted such a painful defeat on him. However, Rosberg was so exhausted by the struggle that he ended his career after the victory. At that time, Hamilton's earnings were estimated by Forbes magazine at $46 million, and while $38 million was his salary, the rest were advertising contracts with brands. The prospect of another intra-team battle did not attract the Mercedes management much, so the next season a relatively quick decision was made, and Finn Valtteri Bottas was chosen as Lewis's partner. In 2017 and 2018, only Sebastian Vettel in a Ferrari was able to put up real resistance to Hamilton in the fight for the championship title, but the Britons still won. In 2019, Lewis won the title 2 stages before the end of the championship. In 2020, he first broke Michael Schumacher's record for the number of race wins, and then equaled him in the number of championships. At the moment, he has 7. A confident victory was not prevented by missing 1 Grand Prix due to illness and poor physical condition afterwards. At the end of 2020, Queen Elizabeth II granted Hamilton the title of Knight of the British Empire. While the racer did not refuse the title, he went on to say that such titles should be awarded primarily to British doctors. After a successful 2020 season, it was reported in the press that Lewis Hamilton was going to end his career. This is since he and Mercedes could not agree on a new contract, but it was still renewed for 1 year, and the race car driver himself said that he would continue to perform as long as he remained hungry for victory and showed excellent results. Recently, Lewis has been credited with romances with models Florence Muller, Camila Kendra, Janet Guzman, but only one woman in his life is known for certain: physiotherapist Angela Cullen. She is the one who helps the race car driver cope with back and neck pain due to high loads, and also helps him with his hair, even ironing things. Angela says that she helps with all household chores on her own initiative, and Hamilton calls her his guardian angel and recognizes her contribution to his championship titles. By the way, a female physiotherapist in Formula One is quite unusual. However, Lewis is known for his struggle for diversity, including gender, and often speaks about the importance of developing women's motorsport. Of course, Hamilton is involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. Lewis went to protests in London, founded a committee to promote black people in motorsport, and was the first to decide to get down on one knee before racing. The Mercedes stable, in turn, in support of BLM, repainted the team's cars in black and replaced the usual white overalls of the racers with black ones. Lewis supports the LGBTQ community, although he once incurred their criticism. In one of the family videos, he told his nephew, dressed in a dress, that boys should not dress like princesses. Then the world champion publicly apologized, deleted the video, and went out with his new nephew dressed in a Disney princess dress. Subsequently, Hamilton, in response to the Vatican's refusal to bless gay marriages, stated that in this modern world it is unacceptable for someone to be forced to face prejudice and discrimination because of love. Also, the Briton engages in charity, helping sick children and endangered animals. He asked Mercedes to think about replacing real leather with artificial leather, at least in the salons of racing cars. He minimizes the use of plastic in his life, he refuses to eat meat, and encourages subscribers to clean beaches. Hamilton emphasizes that his popularity and status are a platform that he's going to use as much as possible to change the world for the better. Lewis is clearly cramped in just the world of Formula One. He is seriously interested in music and considers working in this area, most likely after completing his sports career. He has already written about 250 songs, and in 2018, he sang with Christina Aguilera under the nickname XNDA. Officially, this duet has not been announced, but it is safe to say that Hamilton's voice can be heard in the song Pipe.
You know I got a wild imagination. I like to play the doctor.
Another of his hobbies is fashion. His every appearance on the racetrack during the Grand Prix is worthy of a fashion podium, but behind his clothes there is a clear motivation to topple racism. So at the recent Met Gala Costume Institute ball, he supported young black designers by buying a table for them at the event for $300,000. Lewis has admitted many times that he does not read very often, but there is a book that he loves, the novel A Thousand Splendid Suns. The athlete plans to conquer Everest one day, and now he loves spending time with his dog, an English bulldog named Roscoe. The dog even has its own Instagram account. He used to have another pet of the same breed, Coco, but she died of old age. Lewis Hamilton's net worth is estimated at $285 million. The amounts of his contracts have not been disclosed, but approximately in a year he receives $55 million from Mercedes. This is together with bonuses for the title and image rights. Since 2014, the Briton has been leading the ranking of the highest paid Formula One drivers according to Forbes. And in 2021, according to the magazine's forecasts, his income could reach $62 million, excluding prize money for the champion title. But his salary may soon decrease significantly if a salary cap for race car drivers is introduced in the royal races. Another source of income is the Neat Burger vegan burger chain. He also has his own team, called X44, for the eco-friendly series of electric rally Extreme E, which is losing money. The team was founded in 2021, and in the 2021 season, the team is still in second place in the team standings. Lewis Hamilton is an ambassador of the Tommy Hilfiger brand. At the same time, he is not only photographed for promotional campaigns of new collections, but also takes part in their creation. According to representatives of the brand, their first joint collection consisted of 25% environmentally friendly materials, and the fifth already at almost 80%. In addition, the racer has signed sponsorship contracts with Puma, Vodafone, watch brand IWC, Monster Energy, L'Oreal, premium brand LG Signature, and of course Mercedes-Benz. He has also collaborated with another watch brand, Tag Heuer. The total value of the entire racer's real estate is estimated at $107.5 million. At the peak of his career, he first settled in Switzerland and then moved to Monaco. It is known that his apartments are located in the prestigious Fontvale district, and the windows offer a stunning view of the Mediterranean Sea. In 2019, Lewis bought a penthouse in Manhattan with an area of approximately 6,500 square feet for $41 million. It has 4 bedrooms, a spacious living room with a view of the Hudson River, a library, and an outdoor terrace. A few years earlier, he bought another apartment in New York in a former factory building with 5 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms for $43.9 million, but never lived in it. The house has a modern gym and a swimming pool, and the apartments themselves are made in an industrial style with wooden beams in the living room of double-height ceiling. On the second floor, there is a kitchen and a dining room, and in the master bedroom there is a fireplace. There is also a spacious bathroom. There is another living room on the second floor. It is more compact but no less stylish. And finally, the third floor is a terrace with an area of 3,400 square feet. Lewis sold this apartment a few years after buying it for $57 million. Another Hamilton property in America is a ranch in Colorado. There, the racer rests in the winter and likes to enjoy the beautiful views. In the UK, Lewis was often criticized for tax evasion because he lives outside the country. But the race car driver denies these charges and claims that he pays taxes in several countries, and his homeland is one of them. Moreover, in Kensington, West London, he has a mansion built in 1860 worth $25 million. The interior of the mansion is made of the Provence style. The abundance of light and pastel shades, wooden furniture, and curtains made of natural materials create the effect of antiquity and simple luxury. In addition to the 5,400 square foot house, the villa also has a summer house, a spacious garage, and a large garden where Lewis walks his dogs. It is here that the racer plans to settle down with his future family. As a guest on the Top Gear show in 2007, Lewis said that his personal car is a diesel Mercedes GL420. Many years have passed since then, and many other cars have passed through the athlete's garage. Porsche 911, LaFerrari Aperta, Ferrari 599 GTO, exclusive custom supercar, Pagani Zonda 760 LH, Shelby Mustang GT500 1967, Shelby 427 Cobra, hybrid supercar McLaren P1 and McLaren F1. But still, Lewis has the most Mercedeses: Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG and Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. The entire modern Mercedes-Benz model line, Mercedes-AMG GTR, Mercedes-Maybach S600, Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6. In addition, Lewis Hamilton has at least 3 motorcycles of the Italian brand MV Agusta. The Briton also has a Yamaha R1 motorcycle, a Honda motocross bike, and a Maverick X3 ATV, and once, as part of a rally, he got behind the wheel of a Swedish Koenigsegg Agera HH hypercar from the collection of a Danish entrepreneur. However, Hamilton is now aiming for a zero carbon footprint. To do this, he sold his luxurious red personal plane, which he once bought for $31 million, and part of his car collection, leaving only rare models. In the 2021 season, for the first time in a long time, Lewis had a dangerous competitor for the championship title, Max Verstappen from the Red Bull team. On December 12th, the last stage of Formula One races took place in Abu Dhabi. Throughout most of the race, Hamilton held the leading position. With 5 laps to go, he practically became an 8-time champion. But a sudden accident on the track changed everything. Thanks to the correct strategy of the Red Bull team, Max Verstappen was able to easily overtake Hamilton after the race was resumed and become the champion. What do you think has really prevented Lewis Hamilton from securing his 8th championship this year? If you like the video, leave a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything interesting.